Well, you're not gonna be able to. You're gonna have to then sit. You're gonna have to not sit by here while I make this video then, if you don't want to be in it.
I know.
All right.
But I still want to watch you.
Okay. Kitties. Kitties. What's up, Casey family? What's going on? It's KC. I'm back with another video. I feel like I say that every time, but it is what it is. Today's video, we're gonna do basically the first time that I tried medical marijuana or that I got high. Because sometimes they say the first time that you try it, you don't usually get high. You know, sometimes you're not doing it right because you don't know what you're doing, or you just doesn't get high because your body, I don't know. Maybe they said that back in the day, maybe they don't say that, but that's what they said back in the day. And so basically my first time, I was 15 years old, and I was with a couple buddies, and we were in my hometown. And before we get any farther in this video, do not do drugs. You know, I don't recommend any drugs. This video is a little bit for educational purposes, and it was medical marijuana. And yeah, so basically we were 15 years old and 14 years old, and we were going to try medical marijuana. So we decided to, we got some from a buddy of ours that we know, and we met him at the gas station in our hometown at like 1 in the morning. And he gave us some stuff, and we went back to my buddy's house, which was downtown in our hometown, and it was in a subdivision. He had a bonfire going, and he had a little shack in the back, and we'd go back in his little shed, you know, and he had a table in there with some you know, with a couch, and you know, with another chair, whatnot, you know, some high school type hangout, you know, stuff. So we went in there, and we didn't have nothing to smoke the weed out of. So what we ended up doing is we took you know, the plastic bottle, you know, where you take a plastic water bottle, you know, and then you burn the hole in it, you know, and then you go from there. And we used a lug nut, you know, for the bowl piece, and we taped it inside the water bottle. And after that, you know, we had like 5 or 6 of my buddies, and we had the fire going. There was music going inside their garage, and we went out to the shed in the back, and his parents were sleeping, and this is like 2 in the morning. And so we go in the shed in the back, and we're hanging out back there, and we're all standing around the table, and we're all about to take the lighter and each take a hit, you know, and pass it around. And out comes, totally forgot about this, you know, like this is a Friday night, and I'm at school. My buddy at school meets the kid that we got the weed off of, you know, at the gas station. He meets the kid, and he got, what's it was called? It was K2. So, whatever, yeah, spice. It was spice. So, he got 1 gram of spice. So, during packing the bowl for the medical marijuana, I guess my buddy sprinkled some spice on there. So, this bowl's going around, and along with this bowl going around, it's taking too long to get to me and my buddy. So, we decide to take a can, a Coke can, and then we, you know, we make the old-fashioned, poke the holes, and we go from there. He sprinkles it in there. My first time smoking medical marijuana, it was laced in K2. And basically, I took 1 hit, I took 2 hit, and I was taking the 3rd hit. During the 3rd hit, when I inhaled the smoke, I remember I was like, oh crap, this is it. I feel it. I remember taking the bowl and lighter, and I set it on the table, and I remember looking up. And as soon as I looked up, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, I had 5 of my buddies around me. And all of a sudden, and we're in this little shed, you know, and all of a sudden, I'm looking at them, and I'm standing still, and they start moving like this, like the shed's moving like a slideshow type jittery thing around me. And I'm like, whoa, 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 grab the table. I'm like, this is pretty intense, man. I was like, let's get out of here, let's go to the fire pit, you know. So I'm like, all right, man, let's go to make a move, you know. We got to step, we got to start walking. So I go lift down my feet, and I'm like, all right, here we go. I go to move, and it's like I'm glued to the floor. It's like I weigh 1,000 pounds, and I was like, oh my god, dude, I'm like, I'm stuck here. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get out of the shed, dude. I'm stuck here. They're all smoking still. They don't know what's going on to me. This is all within like 10 seconds. I end up grabbing my leg. I move my leg 1 step, move it 2 step, I move it 3 step, I move it 4 step. My buddies start looking at me, and they're laughing at me. they're all laughing really high. I mean, they're all laughing in the circle around the table and within 3 hits. So everybody's really stoned. And they're all laughing at each other. And I'm making my way outside the shed. And, you know, they're pointing at me and they're laughing at me and stuff. And I get outside the shed. And I remember, don't forget it was LACED K2. And I remember I looked up and I seen the fire pit. Maybe 5-10 yards away. And it was a mile away from what I seen. And I was like, first thing I thought, I was like, oh. It's like, how am I gonna walk there, dude? My feet are so heavy. How am I gonna walk there? It's like, it's so far away. Next thing I remember is my buddy coming out of the shed and picking me up off the ground and walking me to the fire pit, and we sit down. And in that meantime, from what I kind of remember from when I looked at that fire pit from a mile away, after that, I think I was crawling on the ground, maybe laughing, turning, crawling around on the ground, trying to get to the fire pit when my buddy came out and picked me up and then moved me to the fire stools, you know, and he had like half wooden logs cut, you know, and we were sitting on the wooden logs. And I remember sitting there and we were listening to the music, and my buddy was sitting down with his head down, and the music was playing. It was country music, and if you guys remember in elementary school, I had the little black music notes, you know, you would draw and you would, you know, type them and stuff. And I remember seeing the music, and they were coming out of my buddy's head. Little music notes were floating out the top of his head, you know. He was down like this, and I was just watching him, and the music notes were floating out of his head. So I'm like, oh my God, he's thinking of, you know, music he's probably thinking of, you know. It was animation, legit, you know. It was animation, you know, complete hallucination. And I don't remember what anybody else was doing. I feel like everybody else stayed in the shed, and it was just me and my buddy. And that was it. Next thing you know, after you know, seeing the notes and stuff, you know, I just I don't know. I can't remember vividly what happened, but I remember going inside. I got a plain bagel. I went downstairs. I ate the plain bagel. I went to sleep. Woke up. Went home, and that was it for my first time. But I found out the next day that my buddy, when he was sitting there with his head down, he was imagining his life story, I guess, like from childbirth to, you know, to teenager, to where he's at now, or, you know, for like all the way up, you know, age 1 through, you know, 20 or whatever, how old he was, 15, 14 at the time. And yeah, so we were all doing our own thing, and it was only me and him that, you know, smoked the lace stuff, you know. So yeah, that was my first time. It was good. I got high, and yeah, it only took me about 3 hits, but that was my first time. And you know, didn't do yeah, I did do K2 again after that, but that'll be for another video. That was a period of time in my life where I was on probation. Some of you might know about that. And so go ahead and give this video a like, comment, subscribe, let me know, share it, whatever you can.